Physical therapy is something you've been doing for over 30 plus years. Obviously, you're an expert at it. You could have just stayed as a physical therapist and just do the routine things that it would be required as a physical therapist to help people heal and nurse themselves back to health and wellness and balance. But you wanted to take things a little bit further and sort of incorporate more of the inspirational side of things, maybe the spiritual side, deeper healing, deeper sense of self and things of that nature. When did you decide to tap into that world and incorporate it into the existing work that you were already doing as a physical therapist?
Well, it was interesting. Just as I graduated from college with my physical therapy degree, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I was told it was an autoimmune disease of the intestinal tract. There was no cure. This was going to be a lifelong thing, like a death sentence is what it felt like. And all they could do was help try to abate the symptoms with medication and surgery. I didn't know anything different, but it was interesting. I'm going into the medical field, and here I find myself on the other side of the coin and actually being a patient and seeing it from the other side. And my experience of going through that, and after a couple of years, I was on a downward spiral. I feel better, then they had more medication and so on and so forth, and I got to be about 90 pounds. I looked like a walking skeleton, and I was told that they were going to try new medication with me, which was to shut off my immune system with an immunosuppressive drug, because my immune system was overactive, so let's shut it off. And I started to think, well, where was balance? Where was health? Why did we jump from one extreme to the other? Wasn't health the goal? Wasn't balance? And so why would we shut off something that's so vital to, to protect us? Because they said I could potentially get a cold that could turn into a deadly case of pneumonia while I was on this medication. That was one of the risks, one of the side effects, because I would not have a defense mechanism.
Right.
I'm like, well, I'm already on a death path here anyway.
Yeah.
I really don't need any help here.
Right. Why lower the immunity?
Yeah, and
which
it just started not making sense to me.
make things worse. Yeah.
Exactly, and I started thinking of it like a puzzle. There wasn't any one thing that got me sick. It was like a perfect storm that came together. So it wasn't like one day it was like, you're sick, like the magic wand went off.
It's very interesting because they say that is usually how things work in life. If you go back in time and you follow a timeline of things, usually things don't just happen.
Right.
There are things that have been building and happening and caressing that lead up to the boom.
Exactly.
And that's what you discovered?
And it feels like it happened overnight, but it really didn't. There was different things coming, and we're not taught to look at, to look within ourselves and recognize signs and how we're feeling, and so we rely on the outside world. So you get to the point where you're so sick you can't function anymore. That's when you go to the doctor usually.
Now we're talking about the physical side of Crohn's, and Crohn's, you hear so much about Crohn's, colitis, digestive issues, even more in the news because I think people are understanding it. However, how much is it in relation to emotional well-being? Emotional health.
I think that's the
Crohn's.
key. I found that the emotional, mental, and spiritual dis-ease became the physical disease. So we have other signs, and then we're not noticing it, so we're getting bigger signs. Our bodies are screaming at us, we need to take care of ourselves, and we're not seeing it until it becomes this big physical thing. But getting back to the puzzle, Jim, so there had to be a puzzle to get well, just as there was that got me ill. So wouldn't it be true that I could heal myself if I could find the right pieces? And that's when I set out on my journey to find the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual pieces to put my health back together again, kind of like Humpty Dumpty, but that he can get put back together.
Exactly, right.